Okay, guys, we are going to be starting a new novel unit, and it is based off of The Westing Game. The Westing Game is probably one of my favorite books of all time, but it can be a little intimidating because there are so many characters, and I have to say that it honestly became more and more my favorite the more that I read it. So if you have read this before, I want you to pay attention to the characters better this time and see if there's anything else that you can pick out, because really the more you read it, the more you appreciate it and you love it. So these are the 16 characters that are in the story. So it is a murder mystery. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Knives Out or Clue the movie. Clue the movie is my all-time favorite. But basically what happens is somebody dies, and then the characters within the story are asked to try and solve the murder and find out who killed them. So the Westing Game, a little bit of a background, is after a millionaire whose name was Sam Westing is found dead in his mansion, the 16 residents of the Westing Tower are tasked with finding out which one of them is the murderer. The one who solves the mystery wins the Westing Game and inherits $200 million of Sam Westing's. As we read, we will try to solve 4 mysteries in the Westing Game. So what happened was Sam Westing died. He wrote a will and said, I know one of these 16 people took my life. You guys are going to be given clues, and you have to find out which one of these 16 people took my life. So the mysteries are, number 1, who took Sam Westing's life, not wife. Remember that Sam Westing is the rich guy. Which characters are the burglar, bookie, bomber, and mistake? So there's 4. Which of these 16 people is the burglar, booker, bomber, bookie, bomber, and thief? And then also, what message do the characters' clues reveal? We won't get those for a couple of chapters, just because it's going to be introducing the characters and stuff like that, but that is a mystery that we're going to solve through this book. And then last one, which character experiences the most significant change as a result of playing the Westing Game? So as all of these characters are going through this, they're all developing and growing as people and as characters, and we want to focus on that and see who changed the most. Okay, so you're going to be working with your tables as a detective agency. You can try and solve it on your own, but I will tell you it's easier to try and work with other people. If you are in quarantine, it's totally fine if you just want to do it on your own, but you basically are just going to be working together to try and pick out things that you think are clues, things that you think are red herrings. If you don't know what a red herring is, we'll learn about that later. But just that focus really with your table to see what's important and what's not important. Okay, so your detective packets will be turned in after we finish the game and be graded. Make sure you are filling it out as we read so you don't have to fill it all out at the end. So the parts of your detective packet are a clue tracker, your character Instagrams, and I think I'm just going to combine the clue and evidence tracker so you only have 2 things, your character Instagrams and a clue tracker. The Westing Game, there's 16 suspects, and then you're going to take notes on each character on their Instagram page. So what this is going to look like, if you are at home in quarantine, you have the option of doing it online, but you are going to be drawing or inserting a picture for all of the characters and then writing bios, and then you have to add pictures and hashtags, 6 for each character, so that I can tell that you know who all of these characters are. So you'll notice that they're not in order on this one. I'm sorry, but when they're in person, they're like a folded book that you can turn to, and the pages are in order there. They're not on here, so just fill them out based off of the character's name. Okay, first we have Turtle Wexler, and again, she is on page 3 in your booklet. She is 13 years old, and she has a big braid that she hates other people to touch. if you're at home, you can push pause on this. Otherwise, you have the slideshows in Schoology that you can access and look at. Next, we have Grace Windsor Wexler. This is Turtle, so her mom, and Angela's mom. Grace Windsor Wexler really, really wants to be fancy, and she wants people to think that she's cool and that she has a lot of money and that she's well-to-do. Flora Bombach is a dressmaker. She's making Angela Wexler's wedding dress. She's really sweet and kind, especially to Turtle, and she had a daughter that passed away a while ago. Mr. James Shin Hu, he owns the Chinese restaurant that's in the building, which is Shin Hu's Chinese restaurant. He is married to Madam Hu, and he is the father of Doug Hu. A lot of people, when we're reading this book, get James and Doug mixed up. So something that I try to think of in my head is Doug. There was a cartoon a long time ago called Doug, and it was about little kids, like teenagers. And so that's how you know that Doug is the younger one. Doug, the cartoon teenager, is Doug. James Shinhu sounds more of a grown-up name, and so that's who the adult is between those two. Then we have Theo Theodorakis. He is 17 years old. He is the older brother of Chris, and he is handsome and smart and thinks he is super cool. Then we have Chris Theodorakis. He's 15 years old. He has an unknown disease that makes it hard for him to walk and move. He uses a wheelchair, and he's a bird watcher. Bertha Erica Crow is the cleaning lady at the Westing Towers. Dr. Denton Deere is an intern for plastic surgery. He's getting married to Angela Wexler. Then we have Judge Josie Joe Ford. She's the first female African American in the state. She is on page 11 so that you can color her picture and add a little bit of info to her bio. Okay, then on page 12, we have Otis Amber. He's the 62-year-old delivery boy. He likes to pull pranks on people and scare them and like joke around. He always is kind of around the tower for some reason. Then we have Sandy McSuthers. He's the doorman at Westing Towers. A lot of people didn't know what doorman was. So basically, when you live in a really fancy area to help keep people safe, they have a doorman that allows people in and out of the apartment, or in this case towers, to make sure that only people that are supposed to be there are there. And this is Sandy McSuthers. He boxed a lot, and so he has a lot of scars on his face, and he's missing a couple of teeth because before he became Sandy McSuthers, he was a boxer. Then we have Doug Hu. Again, Doug is the teenager. You know that because of the cartoon. He's 18 years old. He's a track star, and he is the son of Mr. Hu owns the restaurant. Then we have Madam Hu. She is 28 years old. She is quite a bit younger than Mr. Hu, and you know that she's not his mom because she's only 10 years older, so there's no way she could be his mom. So that means Madam Hu is James Shin Hu's second wife. She moved to the USA from China, and she speaks only Chinese. Then we have Seidel Pulaski. Seidel is a really fun character. She was a secretary. She's faking an illness so that people will give her attention. She pretends to need crutches so that people will care about her and notice her. Then we have Dr. Jake Wexler. He is a podiatrist, which is a foot doctor, and he is Turtle and Angela's dad, so he is Grace's husband. Angela Wexler is 20 years old. She's Turtle's sister, and she is getting married to Dr. Denton Deer, the plastic surgery intern. So here's all of them put together. The reason they are grouped like this is because this is who is in partnerships. So Madam Who and Dr. Jake Wexler are partners. Madam Who is married to James Shin-Hu, who owns the restaurant, and James Shin-Hu is the father of Doug Hu. Then we have Dr. Jake Wexler, who is partners with Madam Who. He is married to Grace Wexler, who wants to be fancy and wants people to think she's rich and cool. Their daughters are Turtle and Angela. Then Turtle is partners with Flora. Flora Baumbach is not really connected to anybody else except for she is making Angela's wedding dress, because Angela is marrying Dr. Denton Deer, who is the plastic surgeon intern. Dr. Denton Deer is partners with Chris Theodorakis, who's in the wheelchair and has the unknown disease. Chris is brothers with Theo Theodorakis. Now, these people down here, they're George and Catherine Theodorakis. They're mentioned in the book, but they are not main characters, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys an example of what they look like. So George and Catherine Theodorakis have two sons, Theo and Chris, and they own the coffee shop that's in the towers. Mr. Hu owns the Chinese restaurant. So coffee, cafe, Mr. Hu, Chinese restaurant. Okay, then we have Sandy McSuthers, who's the doorman at the towers, and then Judge J.J. Ford. J.J. Ford, I forgot to mention earlier, she grew up, her mom was a maid in Sam Westing's home, and so she grew up interacting with the Sam Westing who passed away, so that's how she's connected to everybody. And then we have Grace Wexler and Mr. Hu, Bertha Erica Crow, she's the cleaning lady. And then we have Otis Amber, who's always kind of just around. He's a bike messenger, and we're not 100% sure why he's around so often, because he should be out delivering stuff on his bike. Then Theo thinks he's cool. Doug Hu is Mr. Hu's son. Seidel is the secretary that's pretending to be sick so that people will notice her. And Angela is Turtle's sister, Grace's daughter, and Jake's daughter. And a lot of people just notice Angela for how beautiful she is. Okay, so these are the partnerships. You can use any of the information that I gave you today to add into your Instagram booklets. And also, last year I had the students do this primarily online. So if you are doing it online or if you're doing it on paper, let me give you an example of what this will look like. So I'm going to take this picture and copy it, and I'm going to insert it here. If you are drawing this, you'll draw a picture of Angela Wexler. She's blonde, she's 20 years old, and she's really pretty. Okay, then you're going to add a bio here. You don't have to add too much information here, but make sure you added some of the stuff that I put in there. So like engaged to Dr. Denton Deer, pretty, and 20 years old. You don't have to keep that for the rest of the year, but I want you to have it in there so that as we're reading, you can kind of reference and be like, oh yeah, that's who this person is. So that's all that you're doing today with the rest of your time. You either were doing it while I was talking, or you can do it now. You have access if you go to Schoology and you, at the bottom, click on Character Instagram page. Right here it says character PowerPoint. Click on that link and it will open this up. So you have all of this information. You have the pictures if you're doing it digitally, and then you can just add stuff here. When we're going on later on to add a picture and a hashtag, to put the hashtag, you'll just put it right here, like hashtag blonde, and then you'll go to insert image and then search the web, and then type in blonde hair, and you can pick on any, I don't know, that one's cute, let's add that one. You can drag and drop it in. Make sure that you adjust the pictures so that they fit into the boxes. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and I would love to help. Good luck.